Okay. So, shall we just start? I'm Pingdong coordinator Ailey, and today my partner Frida and I gonna introduce everybody like culture, festival, and taboos in Taiwan. Okay. So we will like focus on 4 main topic today. First is education. First is culture. Second is education. We will let you know some differences between the education differences between United States and Taiwan. And third is festival, and last is taboos. Okay. Before we start, I just want to remind you that Frida and I have done some research of this topic, but still this is from amateur perspective for this topic, but still this can be reference for how you interact with the community and people, but not a Bible. We just give you the general idea, and it still depends on different situation and different people. And also Jane and Amy, who are our course culture communication advisor, will hold another session in future days. Okay, so what is culture? What do you think? What is culture? The culture actually embodied a lot of aspects, like some people said before, like culture encompasses religions, food, what we wear, our language, marriage, music, and what we believe is right or wrong, how we sit in the table, how we greet to visitor, how we behave with loved ones, and million other things. The simple thing I would say is the way we talk, the way we live in here. So we call it culture. And through culture include many factors. Today we will be like focused on human connections. Okay, so cross-culture understanding. What is cultural understanding? Was this they're having so many was this beings that have so many differences, meaning we will need a lot of communication, resulting in the need for the cross-cultural communication, reorganize and appreciate the differences different cultures have, and also compare traveling to our new country and living in a foreign country is totally different. So we know it's not easy, but don't be too worried. We hope you through the whole summer training session, you will know more about here. Okay. So let's start how miscommunication happened. As we can see on the left side, we expect others to behave like us, but they don't. So miscommunication happened, and we might react anger, we might feel upset, we might feel worried or unhappy, and it causes us to avoid contact with people. And the same thing on the right side, the blue one. The next is expressing opinion. First, I'm not sure if you have noticed that or not, but as a Taiwanese, we are really subtle, and through the younger generation seems to have a lot of lots of this trait, but still when you at school, you will be like facing the more traditional people. We won't like tell you things directly. We will like use a lot of other ways to tell you what we want. For example, like when you maybe one day your school director came to you and like tell you, hey, our school sports day are coming. It seems like the director just tell you a truth, but actually the true meaning the director wanted to tell you is, can you like help us? Maybe he or she wanted to invite you to participate in one of the games, or to ask you to help them to hold some session, or helping them to do some works. But we just don't tell you directly. And sometimes if you don't understand what people really want to tell you, you can just ask them directly, what do you want me to do? What do you want from me? How can I help you? You can like just ask your teacher, ask your director directly if you don't really read what they want. Okay. And next is, as I said, we are more like collectivism society. So we are more cautious about how our behavior could affect others. Next. So as I mentioned, our lifestyle is more like collectivism, which means you will have a lot of connection with other people. Human network is more complex, and you will notice that almost every resident in the community all know who you are, especially a foreigner lives in a small community. Your neighbors, even not your neighbors, or all know who you are, which school are you teaching at. So I would suggest you better keep good relationship with your school, even your teacher, because it's highly, your neighbor highly might be your students or your school teacher in a small community. So have a good relationship with them. That's we will suggest you to do that. And if you don't know how to make connection with them, you are new to here, you are new in the community, you don't know how to interact with them. When you make eye contact, you see each other, you can like nod your hand to them to greet to them. And we will know, oh, you are greet to me, I will greet to you back. And that's how we start. Okay. And also in the workplace, usually we'll have a hierarchy in our community, and especially in school, you might see all the teachers, the students are really like respectful to the principal or director, or even older age teachers. We will like show more respect to them. Okay, next is courteous. Being a Taiwanese people are more like courteous and respectful when we talk to other people, especially when we met at first time. In order to show my kindness or in order to show my kindness, maybe I will like really being really cautious to you. And Taiwanese people are often use these three phrases like it's okay, 没关系, or sorry, 对不起，不好意思. And thank you, the last is thank you. We use thank you a lot to people. And sometimes even people don't really feel it's okay, or maybe I feel not good, I feel sad, but I still will tell you, oh, it's okay, but actually it's not really okay. So it's hard to really understand what people wanted to tell you, but you can like interact more, ask them more questions, or ask them more, are you okay or something, to ask them maybe twice. Then the people will like start to telling you their story. Okay, so let's see some examples. First, we can see how to disagree. In this picture, we can see maybe the French people will disagree with you. They just tell you, oh, I don't disagree. I don't agree with you. I disagree. And American people might say, oh, it could be better if blah, 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 blah. But for us, we might just silent, or we won't say agree with you or disagree with you, just silent. Don't say any words. And other thing is, we are shy to say love even to our close people. my family, our family, we won't like just saying love directly or saying love out loud. We might use other ways. For example, like, oh, the weather is getting cold. I bought you some clothes. Remember to wear more clothes. It's getting cold. Did you get your lunch? Did you get your dinner yet? Yeah, something like that to show, oh, we are love you, but we don't just say I love you directly. And also in our culture, we won't open the gift in front of people. We will like bring it home and maybe open it alone. Yeah, we won't just open immediately. And also we are not used to people praises us because if even I wear a new dress today, I change my hairstyle, and the people tell me, oh, you look pretty today, you are good today. But at the first time that people like would say, oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no, not really. But actually we are really happy. So in this kind of situation, I would suggest you like you can like just keep telling the people, oh no, you are really good. You're really beautiful. Maybe say it twice, say it 3 times, and then we will like accept that. Oh yeah, I'm really beautiful. Thank you. Okay. Next is I know we are really we are like cautious people, but most of Taiwanese are friendly and welcoming you to Taiwan to hear. And if you make some local friends here, maybe one day he will like invite you to, hey, come to my house, come to my place. My mom will cook for us tonight. My mom made a dinner for us tonight, in order to show how welcoming we are. To like I know it's really far away from your home to Taiwan, and for almost 1 year, and we still want you to feel warmth here. So we will like showing our welcoming and friendly here. Okay.
Hey, hi, it's me again, New Taipei City Coordinator Frida. So the second part, we will be talking about the differences between the US and Taiwan education. And next page, I have a question for you. When talking about the Taiwanese education, what do you know about it? You may drop your answer in the chat box if you know any. Yes, we have lots of studying and testing, correct, in cram schools. Yes. So in my impressions, when I was a student, the classroom is more like teacher-centered, and we only study for getting into a better school. So we study for a test, and then we have very long hours at schools, and we wear uniforms. Okay, next page. Do you know this friendly gentleman here? If you do, you may drop your answer at the chat box. Yes, he is Confucius, 孔子. And Confucius is a Chinese philosopher, and his teaching and philosophy have a great influence across East Asian countries. And I would like to also share with you another picture. Ali, can you click? Yes. This phrase is called 悬梁刺股. You may make a guess. What does this phrase mean? On the left-hand side, the guy, he used a knife and stabbed in his thigh. And on the right-hand side, the guy, he tied his hair on the ceiling. And to do this is to keep them awake. So we use this phrase to describe a person who studied really hard and very diligent. So from ancient time, you may know like how important studying is for Asian people. Okay, next slides. And talking about the education system in the Western countries, There are 5 different stages: preschool, and we'll go to elementary for 6 years, middle schools for 3 years, high school for 3 years, and 4 years for university, right? But in Taiwan, before university, our learning is more focused on getting good scores on the test. And to do this is for us to get into a super good university. And from university that we will start to explore what we really like and our life goals and what we will do for our jobs, and then cultivate our abilities from that time. But you may see for a Western education system, they start to build the ability and explore their interest and set up the life goal from very little. I have not been in studying in the elementary or middle schools in the US, but from my experience doing exchange students in the US university, I found most of my classmates would really love to share, and the teachers will always hold like a discussion time for us to exchange ideas. And by that time, it's kind of like a cultural shock for me, like how active the students can be in the classroom. It's so different from what my learning experience is. Okay, next page. And here's another question for you. How long do you think the average of our school day in Taiwan? You may drop the answer in the chat box. Like how many hours? May make a guess. Some people say 8, some people say 9, and even 12. Okay, next page. Here's a table to share with you, and this is from the National Center on Education and Economy, NCEE, and it shows that the average school day in Taiwan is 8.5 hours, which is very long, 2 hours longer than in the US. And then next page. And here is examples of the school schedule. On the left-hand side is the elementary, and the right-hand side is junior high school schedule. You may see from the first class period until the 7th or 8th class period, we have so many classes. And so students will go to school maybe from 7:30 to 4 or 5 p.m. But the difference in the US is that we have a longer recess time in between, and we have a lunch break. And most of my ETA they love is they can take a nap after lunch. And oh, sorry, next page, last page. Last page. Thank you. And then also it is different from the US that the students will have a home classroom, and also with a homeroom teacher. So in the junior high school, when you get placed in this class, you will be with this group of people for the whole 3 years. And then in the elementary school, every 2 years you will have new classmates. And we don't switch classrooms. Usually the teacher will come to our classroom and teach. Okay, next page. And we mentioned that it is already long for the long hours at the normal schools, but we also have like a cram school culture in Taiwan, is that the parents will send their children to cram school after the normal school. And the picture here is a famous cram school street in Taipei. When you come to, if you have the chance to come to the Fulbright office, this street actually is just nearby our office. And the picture on the right-hand side, you can see how diligent our student works. And next page. And I'm curious about how the school schedule in the US. And I wonder if someone maybe can turn on the microphone and share with us. If you are shy, you may also drop like answer in the chat box. Like how is a day at school in the US? From 7:30 to 2:30. Wow, thank you, thank you. So you start early and finish early and have a lots of extra curriculums. Not just like us, we just study for test. Okay, and then next page. And here is something I would like to share with you when you are at school and the scenario you might experience. For example, when doing lesson planning, the co-teacher might ask you to do it on a Saturday, then what will you do? You can also drop your answer at the chat box. Someone say can maybe ask to do it after school and not on a Saturday. And someone will just accept that. Okay, and then during teaching, when you first just come to the school, like your co-teacher doesn't know how is your teaching experience, and they might ask you to do solo teaching, then what will you try to do? Try it out. Okay, and then the last question is that sometimes the school will have an event, and then maybe the school principal will ask you to do a talent show in front of the whole school. I don't know why sometimes they have a false image of the foreigners that all of the foreigners are super outgoing, so they can do like a talent show, no problem. But actually, the personality is different from each. It's every person has different personality. Maybe you are a shy person and you don't want to do that. Then what will you try to tell your principal? Yeah, someone say they can cooperate with the students and then ask for help. Yes, yes. Okay, and next page. So to share this scenario is because these questions really happened before. And then why I want to bring this up is actually there's no right or wrong answers for this. It's more about communications. It is important to build a good relationship with your with your co-teachers, but also to set like boundaries. If you think that is not okay to work over the weekends, that's totally fine to refuse that. And then maybe you can tell your co-teacher to set a fixed time to do the lesson planning. And then when you have the time to do that, then you don't need to work on the weekends, right? And also in the beginning, it is important to set up a goal and to share the expectation with each other. The more clear the goal you set up and the expectation you tell to your co-teachers, the co-teaching will goes very smoothly for the following time at school. And for students, you will be like a very good models. So be nice and friendly to them. And the most important is that we hope you can be very flexible. Okay.
Okay, so back to the festival. I think it's kind of important because now I'm going to introduce you the festival we have, and also we will have the extra day off. So if you want to take note, you can prepare your paper or something to calendar and take the note. Okay, first, I will introduce you three types of category of the festival based on the different calendar. And the first is the lunar calendar. It's a cycle of the moon, which is usually used in the Asian country. And the second is Gregorian calendar. It's current calendar, the worldwide right now. And the last is the based on different indigenous tribe, and they will have like different indigenous event. And before we start, let me remind you, the lunar calendar and Gregorian calendar are different. So the specific date of the festival based on the lunar calendar will be different each year. So you need to like check each year, the check with both the lunar calendar and the Gregorian calendar. And next, here's the three biggest lunar calendar festival in Taiwan. The first is the Chinese New Year, second Dragon Boat Festival, and also the Moon Festival, also known as the Mid-Autumn Festivals. Okay, so we will like start at the Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year, also known as the Spring Festival, it's a celebrate from the first day to the fifth day of the first month of the lunar calendar. And for the Gregorian calendar, this year is from January 31st to the February 6th. On New Year event, we will like clean our house, and Chinese people will like refer to Chinese people refer to this festival as the passing the years, so which means shooting out the old and welcoming the new year. It is considered the most important Chinese holiday of of the year. Okay, so when the Chinese New Year event, we will like spring cleaning, and we will like put the couplets on our doors, our windows, and the young people in the family will get the red envelope from the older people, and the red envelope will have the cash inside. And also at the first day, first day of a new year, we will like go to the worship at temples and visit our relatives. Okay, next is the Lantern Festival. Lantern Festival is the last day of Chinese New Year, and then we will eat the rice dumplings, and the kids will like guessing the riddle games, and also Pingxi at the New Taipei City. Pingxi Lantern Festival is the most famous place in Taiwan. But for now, there are like also a lot of city or county will hold a beautiful lantern festival. As you can see the picture at the left side, actually it's Pingdong. It's Pingdong Lantern Festival. Okay. So the next is Dragon Boat Festival. Dragon Boat Festival is a memorable day of Chu Yuan, and he dumped himself into the river because he don't want to serve another dynasty. And in this state, there's a dragon boat race will be held. It's because in the past people will like race the boat on the river to lift into the body of the Chu Yuan. And also we will eat dumplings is because people will throw the rice dumpling into a river in order to distract the fish. They don't want fish to eat the body of children. So for nowadays, we eat dumpling as a tradition. And also, we will play the egg balancing game. If you success to lay the egg balance at the noon of this day, it means you will like have good luck in the whole future years. Okay. Next is 中元节. It's in the middle of the July of the lunar calendar, which means right now the ghost month is the 7th month of the Chinese lunar calendar. And there are a lot of taboos in these months, and later Frida will introduce more to you. Next is a Moon Festival. It's the middle of the August, and it's a celebrate the harvest moon. We will like eat moon cake, barbecue, and admire the moon. And also the special thing that we will also eat the paloma in these days, because the paloma in Chinese is pronounced yo. It's the pronunciation similar like blast 保佑 in Chinese. Pronunciation in Chinese is similar. So we also like will eat the Pamela for the bless. Pamela for the bless. Okay. Okay, here's the other holidays based on the Gregorian calendar. First is New Year, the first day of the whole year. Here's the 101 building. It will be a super huge and big fireworks show will be held. And if you are interested of this, you want to join this big show, I would suggest you need to like book your ticket, book your hotel in really like in advance, because it will be really crowded, and so many people will like join this to see this fireworks show. And also let me remind you to be careful, because when people are too crowded together, it's really dangerous to maybe if you fall down or something, maybe people will crash off you. It's dangerous. Okay. At the right side is Peace Memorial Day. We will also like have a day off in this day. Okay. Next is Children's Day and Tomb Sweeping Day. And these 2 days are really close. So usually we will like have full day off during this period. And we will like go to the tombs to clean it and to ask grandparents or great-grandparents for the bless. And that is National Day. Taiwan National Day is October 10, so it's also called 10-10 holiday or double 10 holidays. Okay. The last is indigenous event. Usually the indigenous event are celebrating the harvest, hunting, or the adulthood in the different tribes. So the dates depend on the different tribes. And here are some well-known famous festival in Taiwan, like Flying Fish Festival of Yamei tribe is at Lüdao, Green Island. And also Harvest Festival of Amis tribe, it's at Hualien. And let me remind you, basically this event are all only open for people in the tribe. There are no visitor allowed. But if you are luckily got the invitation, please be respectful and humble and be to their culture, because even me or some other coordinator, we don't even have chance to join the tribe event. So if you are lucky got the invitation, please be respectful. Okay.
Okay, and then moving on to the last part, we will be talking about the Taiwanese taboos, 禁忌. And taboos is related to our religious belief and our costume that passing on generation to generation from our ancestors. And later the taboos I share with you, some of the taboos it might sound very odd or does not make sense at all. That's okay. You can just listen to it like a fun fact or interesting stories. Okay, next slide. And first, I would like to share like 2 real cases that was reported on the news before. The first one is you can make a guess on the picture on the left-hand side. Is that a chair? Yes or no? No. And then next page. So during a bicycle race in Taiwan, a foreigner passed by the gym and was taking his break, and he does not know like how that is, and just thought the shape of the gym looks like a chair. So he sat on it and then took a picture, and then realized he was actually sitting on someone's ancestor. And then next page. And the picture on the right-hand side, do you think it is a note? Yes, it's not a note. It's actually our paper money. And we use this to worship our ancestor or spirits. But the foreigners, they have not seen our paper money before. So he wrote a note on it. So when coming to a foreign country, it is always good to know their taboos or the costume so that they will not do something inappropriate or impolite or even like making jokes like this to people. And next page. 13 is considered an unlucky number in Taiwan. In the US, what about in Taiwan? Yes. This is very easy question for you. And next page. Yeah, in Taiwan, 4 is considered an unlucky number because the Chinese 4, 4 sounds exactly like, sounds similar like death, 死. When going to a hospital or the hotel, it's hard to find a 4th floor button in the elevators. For people who are sick, they do not want to live in room 4 or on the 4th floor because it feels like they live on a room of death or a floor of death, which is really bad luck. And then next page. When talking about gifting, there are something that you should be aware of. Next slide. We do not give a clock as a gift because a clock, 钟, 送钟 sounds similar like 送钟, and this means this has another meaning that we're attending someone's funeral. Also, gifting someone a pair of shoes is not a good idea either because the shoes can be evil, 鞋 in Chinese. And we also do not give an umbrella to a friend because umbrella in Chinese, 伞 sounds similar like breaking up, 散. If you give an umbrella to a friend, that means your friendship will be broken. But if you do really want to give like a pair of shoes to your good friend, you can take like $1 coins back from your friend. By doing this, can break the bad luck. Next page. And in Taiwanese culture, red is considered good luck, but it can be different meanings in different situations. Next slide. We do not write a name in red. In ancient time, name in red is used for condemned criminals. If you write someone's name in red, that means that person is going to be killed. And red ink also symbolizes blood, so which is really bad luck. And we don't like to talk about death. And then next slides. During Chinese New Year, Taiwanese people like to gift or receiving red envelope because red envelope means lucky money. But if you see a red envelope on the street, especially for guys, do not pick it up because you might lead to an unwanted marriage. in ancient time, it is very important for a woman to get married. And if a girl who died at her young age and did not get married, her parent would still want to find her a husband. But who wants to get married with a ghost? So the parents will write the daughter's name on the paper and then put it into a red envelope along with the hair and the fingernails. So whoever picks it up on the street need to marry their daughter. And by doing this, they believe their daughter can rest in peace. And back in modern society, it is not a good idea to pick up something that does not belong to you. If you do, then please give it to a police officer. Next page. And there are many chances that you will go traveling in Taiwan or visiting a friend's house. And next page. When we live in a hotel room and before entering, there are a couple things we might do. The first is that we will knock on the hotel room door. By doing this is to inform the spirits living inside that we will be bothering for a couple days and hope that during this time we can get along with each other. And Taiwanese people also believe that the spirits like somewhere wet and dark. So the toilet is a wonderful place for them to party. So the second thing we do when entering the hotel room is to flush the toilet. By doing this, you can also check if the toilet is functioning normally or not. And third is that I will not put the shoes very tightly because we believe that the spirits can locate where we were lying according to the shoes. But as a person who cannot stand for the messiness, I will always bring like a amulet and put it on the table just to protect me. Then the last is we will always pushing our chairs because if you do not, then maybe the spirits will sit on the chair and looking at you at night. Okay, next page. When visiting a friend's house and eating with a Taiwanese friend, we do not stick the chopsticks upright in the bowl because this is only for people who passed away. If you do this, that can be very disrespectful and impolite. So don't do that. Okay, next page. As Ellie mentioned that we have a lunar calendar and ghost month is July in our lunar calendar. And for this month, it's like ghost summer vacations. So they will like come out and then wander around on the street. So there are so many taboos that you should be aware of during this month. And next page. Taiwanese people believe that there are 3 fires over our head and 2 shoulders. So during ghost month, we do not pat someone on the shoulder at night because if you do, the fire might be put off and there's a big chance that the spirit can be possessed on you. And when going hiking, we do not call people's full name because we believe that if the spirits knows your full name, they might follow you home. And third is we do not whistle at night because we don't want to get the attention from the spirits. Okay, next slide. And there are many chances that you will be meeting new friends or meeting your school teachers. And you might find when having a conversation with Taiwanese people, especially elder people, they really like to ask many personal questions. Next page. You might be asked about your age and then how much money you make. Oh, what is your job? Or even like the relationship and the details of your family or your health. If you are asked about these questions, please do not be offended because Taiwanese people are used to ask these kind of questions as ice-breaking questions. But, and next page, here are some tips for you if you do not want to answer these private or personal questions. And the most useful one is you can say, I 听不懂. I don't understand. They might not keep asking you these questions. Or you can maybe give them a very ambiguous answers. Sometimes at school, the students might ask you, teacher, do you have a boyfriend or do you have a girlfriend? And you may maybe give them a very ambiguous answer or talking about something else, then they will forget. You can also joke about the questions. The main point is when you don't want to respond to these questions, always be polite and then wear your cutest smile. Okay, and then some of you might stay at like the rural areas, and when walking on the street, you might experience a lot of staring because the residents at that area don't see foreigners a lot. So you might experience a lot of staring. The staring does not mean in a bad way. It is just out of curiosity. And when we talk to a friend, you may also find that we like to focus on the appearance, like the person's height or the person's weight, the eye colors, or if the hair is curly or not. It's just a way of speaking for Taiwanese people, and we don't meant to be offended. But if someone say something that you think make you feel uncomfortable, it is always okay to say no. And then you may ask for help for someone who you trusted, like your coordinators or your advisor, or even Jen or Amy. Okay. And then last, there's no right or wrong when talking about culture. It's more about understanding each other and respect. And we hope the sharing today can give you like a general ideas how the Taiwanese culture is like in Taiwan. And then we hope it can help you to experience less cultural shock and help you to fit in our life as soon as possible. And thanks for your attention. That is all for the sharing for today. Thank you. And we have another section started from 2:45. And we'll be still using the same link. And during this time, you can still stay online and then maybe turn off your camera, go run to the bathroom and drink some water. And we will be back at 2:45. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Okay, I think now we're at the time. And should we just start? Can you see the slide that I share? Okay, cool. Okay, hello, good afternoon, all the folks. Welcome all of you to be part of the Fulbright family, and also welcome to Taiwan. In the previous presentation, Ellie and Frida mentioned a couple times about Jane and Amy. Yeah, so I'm Amy. I'm the mental health advisor and intercultural communication advisor in Fulbright. Yeah, I feel excited to talk about this topic with you because I know that you have a really full training schedule these days. So in this 1 hour, please be relaxed. You can do something to take care of yourself, like move your laptop to a more cozy corner in the space you're currently staying, or grab some snacks while listening and eat it while listening to the presentation. whatever, just slow down your pace and find a comfortable way to be here. Okay. And I guess everyone's currently situation are probably different, right? If I'm right. So some of you are still in the US and some of you are maybe in your apartment in Taiwan. But I think most of you just got to Taiwan and started the quarantine at the hotel, right? Okay, so I believe there are a lot of transition and adjustment. And maybe you're still going through jet lag. Yes, staying in the same space for several days could be challenging. And I think the regulation now is like 3 days quarantine plus 4 days self-health management. Okay, it sounds not that bad, but still can be a little bit challenging. And I can totally relate and deeply understand how it feels like, because I literally just finished my 7-day quarantine yesterday since I got COVID last week. Now I'm fully recovered, but still sometimes cough a little bit. So if during the presentation I really want to cough, I will turn off the microphone. Okay, my apologies in advance, but hopefully it won't happen. Okay, and besides the quarantine, especially you just arrived in a foreign country and there are bunches of things that you have to adjust to. Everything is new and full of changes. So I think the topic today about self-care is really important, how to survive during the quarantine and how to take care of yourself mentally and physically, not only during this period of time, but your everyday life. Okay, and before I start the presentation, there are 3 important things I want to share. So the first thing is, I know that you've been doing the online training all day today. Maybe some of you are still dealing with jet lag. So if you feel tired, sleepy, distracted during the presentation, it's okay, don't worry. Take care of yourself is a priority. And if you want to go to the restroom or someone important calls you, go ahead and help yourself. And second, if you think something I mentioned in the presentation is helpful, feel free to screenshot and share with your friends. I would be more than happy if I can help more people. And this also makes this presentation more meaningful. And the last thing is, during the presentation, if you have any thoughts or feedbacks, welcome to type it in the chat box, or you can just hit the raise hand button and talk. And if you don't feel like sharing or participating, it's okay. All right. And let me briefly introduce myself first. I'm Amy Guo. I'm a licensed counseling psychologist here in Taiwan. And at Fulbright, my role is a mental health advisor and intercultural communication advisor. I'm also currently working in a university and a lifeline association, providing individual counseling for college students and employees from different companies. And for my master's, I got a dual master's degree in both Taiwan and the US. I went to NTNU and University of Missouri for counseling psychology program. That's a little bit about my background. And this is the other mental health and intercultural communication advisor, my partner, Jane. Is Jane online? Okay.
Hi, everyone. This is Jane. Welcome to the Fulbright program. You'll be seeing me and Amy in other workshops too. Looking forward to meeting all of you. Right.
Okay, thank you, Jane. So Jane and I provide individual talks and mental health related services based on different sites. Because Fulbright wants to create a safe and healthy environment to everybody. So our role is a little bit separate from the program, is that the information we talk about will be confidential. So if you have something related to stress, like overall life adjustment issues, emotional issues, or mental health issues that you want to talk about, you're welcome to schedule an individual talk with us. Okay, and Jen and I will talk more about mental health and the more detailed information about this service in another training course. Okay, I think it will be the week after next week. Okay. And now I would like to invite all of you to do some quick self check-in, all right? The first one, how are you feeling now? Think about a word to describe your current mood, feeling, energy level. Plus the food you had for lunch, or if you didn't have lunch today, what did you have for breakfast, or what are you eating now? So the answer might be like motivated pizza, sleepy xiaolongbao, happy boba tea, or hungry lunchbox. So you can type your answer in the chat box. Tired dumplings. Oh, tired. A lot of tired and sleepy. Oh, mac and cheese. Thai food. Okay, the food you eat is pretty multicultural. Yeah, but I just see a lot of tired and comfy and excited. Okay. Okay, so we all have all different kinds of status, emotions, and feelings. And for those who haven't had lunch yet, please help yourself and grab some food during the presentation. It's an important self-care. Okay. And the second check-in, I would like to invite you to take a moment, look around in your environment to find something that you feel like, this is appealing to me. This brings me joy. It could be anything, like a cup of coffee, the view outside the windows, or the soft pillows you cuddle every night, or a mirror that you can see your own reflection in it. Okay, so take a moment, find something that brings you joy from your surroundings. And if you want to share, you can type it in the chat box. Aquarium. Oh, pillow, octopus, that sounds so cute. Kitten, oh. Beside in my quarantine room. Water bottle. Pillow. Books. Orange. Yeah, natural light. Cookies from home. Okay. Okay, mine is this herbal candy. It brings my throat joy. Okay. So when we are more aware of and in sync with the environment, we're more able to recognize the things that are maybe dangerous or things make us feel uncomfortable so we can avoid them. And for sure, things that brings us joy and make us feel comfortable, that we can use them. It's always important to find resources for ourselves. So being in sync with your surroundings is one of the keys to happiness. So later, if you need them, need your pillow, need your aquarium, you know where they are. They can be your support. And I'll be here with you as well. Okay. So the last check-in. Here are 2 questions I want you to ask yourself. Take a moment, ask yourself, what was your happiest moment last week? And what worried you the most last week? You don't need to type the answer in the chat box. Just keep it in your mind. Or if you want to share, for sure, you can share in the chat box. Just take a moment and ask yourself, yeah, what was the happiest moment last week? And what worried you the most last week? Okay, so it's totally normal to have those ups and downs and fluctuations in our life. Yeah, it's totally normal and inevitable. Those happy and worrying moments would probably trigger some of our emotions. It's okay. So let's see how we can take better care of ourselves together. And these are some of the topics we will talk about because we have only like an hour. So I try to make each topic brief and simple, easy to remember, easy to apply in our daily life. So today we will talk about 5 mindsets to cope with quarantine and 6 aspects of self-care practices, 4 questions that you can ask yourself every day as self-check-in, and 3 tips to cope with the new challenges. Okay. So the first one we're going to talk about is the 5 tips to cope with quarantine. For those who are still in the US, although you're not currently under quarantine, you can be more well prepared when you start your quarantine in Taiwan. I think maybe some of you have experienced lockdown back home, but still quarantine here in Taiwan is quite different because you're not only under quarantine, but adapting new culture. You're in a new environment and meeting new people. So these are all new challenges, not only quarantine. So the first challenges might be, you might feel anxious about the uncertainty because there are a lot of things that you're still trying to figure out and you cannot control. Like the policy in Taiwan is different from the US and it changes irregularly. And also different schools might have different regulations for people who get COVID. Like this unknown pandemic and uncertainty can be anxiety provoking. And then life pace is disrupted. Like we wake up, go to work, go to school, have lunch with the fixed schedule every day. But when we're under quarantine, the life pace is totally changed. And sometimes we even lose track of time. Like we don't know what time is it right now or what the day and date of today is. Especially maybe we stay in the same room, maybe with the window, maybe without a window. In this situation, we need to create a new life ritual and life pace to gain our sense of control to go through this period of time. And then movement is restricted. Like you're not allowed to step out your room during the quarantine. It can be very boring or even like suffocating to do everything in the same space for several days. And the last challenge is you might feel like you're so isolated from the outside world, you cannot leave your room and talk with someone in person. Everything is so distant and the loneliness may sometimes probably may lead to like low mood. Okay, so these are challenges during the quarantine. So which one do you think that disturb you the most? Yeah, and how can we overcome these challenges? We cannot change the fact and policy of quarantine, but we can switch into a new mindset. So I created this ABCDE as a mnemonic to make it easy to understand. And I kept this in my mind during my quarantine as well. So let's see how what each letter stands for. So A stands for like alone is not lonely. The quarantine period can serve as a chance that allows you to spend quality time with yourself, like a quality me time. You can do something you've been putting off, like read a book that you've been wanting to read but haven't had a chance, or like watch a show that you've been wanting to watch. Like for me, my experience is that I finally tried some new recipe during my quarantine. Yeah, also, although you're alone, it doesn't mean that you're lonely. Sometimes you are your best company. And B, being used to your temporary new status. So the distance with people and outside world is inevitable during the quarantine, but also it's temporary. So it's good to know at least there is an expected deadline. So I think if you started your quarantine on August 1st, then today is the last day of quarantine, right? And tomorrow will be the first day of self-care, self-health management. I think maybe everyone's quarantine timeline is different. Okay, but during this period of time, don't be too harsh to yourself. Take your time and give yourself some time to create new life pace and get used to it. And C is connections are still there. Although physically you're isolated, like staying in the same room, but socially and emotionally, you're not completely isolated. Like you can still stay in touch with your family and friends through phone and video chat. I know there are time differences, but still you can send and receive love and care through messages. And you can talk with your coordinators, your cohort, make new connections with people here in Taiwan. You can also like read news to keep connection with the outside world. But if you feel the information is too much, too overwhelming, then remember to cut off and stop doom scrolling. Okay. And D, developing a new lifestyle. We all live in such a fast-paced modern world. So how long have you not been able to enjoy the here and now present moment? So because now you're the only person in the room, you can try to pay more attention on yourself and your body's sensation. For example, try to focus your breath while inhaling and exhaling, and your taste buds while you're chewing the food. So we call this mindfulness. It's a helpful lifestyle to find inner peace. Like concentrating on your body and mind brings new experience. Okay, and the last one, E, is ethics of public health. So you can try to view quarantine in a different perspective. Though it is boring or suffocating, but it is something meaningful and contributive because it is mutually beneficial to yourself and the public health. So you're helping to control the pandemic in Taiwan. So thank you for staying in the room. You're protecting the public health and your health. So I hope this ABCDE can help you make your quarantine more meaningful, less stressful, and more restful. Okay. In the next part, we're moving on to the self-care practices. So a quick question to yourself. What do I usually do to take care of myself on a regular basis? Yeah, think about it. And yeah, you can type it in the chat box. Like, what do I usually do to relax, to take care of myself? Listen to music. Read, journal, cry. Yeah, to release your emotion. Read or write. Okay. Yeah, a lot of reading. Yeah, a lot of reading and sleeping. Exercise. Okay. Yeah. So everyone has their self-care tips and skills. And maybe you've heard like various ways to sort self-care. And I think this classification is the most comprehensive one. So there are 6 aspects of self-care, including physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, social, and practical. The physical self-care is the most fundamental one. So as a lot of grantees share that sleeping, is important, is part of the physical self-care. And the emotional, spiritual, and intellectual, these 3 aspects of self-care are all parts of mental health self-care. Okay. So the first one, physical self-care. Like when we are stressed and we don't look good, we often hear people ask us, are you okay? Did you sleep well last night? Have you eaten yet? So obviously sleeping and eating are 2 fundamental elements of physical health. And actually when we say, oh, I sleep well, is a pretty vague description of sleeping status. So you can check your sleeping in a more detailed way, like your sleeping routine. Do you go to bed and get up every day around the same time, or it's irregular? And your sleeping quality. Do you have nightmare, or do you wake up in the middle of your sleep and have difficulty fall back to sleep? Yeah, and also the amount of time of sleeping. Like, do you have enough sleep? Most people believe that sleeping 6 to 8 hours a day is perfect. It's the perfect amount of sleeping, but actually the sleeping quality is superior to sleeping quantity. Okay, and also your sleeping habit. Like, do you go to bed with a relaxed mind and body and ready to rest, or you're still like checking your Instagram, TikTok, or feel like my brain is still running through a lot of thoughts? So based on my experience in counseling, this issue is so common, like having difficulty falling asleep because like their brain is still so active. Yeah. So to help with this situation, there is a 4B ritual before bed created by a clinical psychologist in Taiwan. It is bath, break, breath, and bed. So imagine you're a fan and your brain and body are just like the blade. Yeah, it has been working and rotating the whole day. So when we're going to bed, we turn off the fan. And what would happen? Yeah, you will find that, okay, the blade has stopped working, but the engine, the engine is still warm, right? Yeah, like it won't just cool down immediately. So the same, it takes a while for our brain and body to be ready to rest as well. So we can try this 4B ritual before bed to cool the engine down. When we take a bath or a shower, the change of temperature can help activate the sleeping mode. And then the break time means we can help our mind to pause, to stop processing and overthinking before bed. Like we can write down some thoughts or the to-do list for tomorrow in your notebook. Then leave those thoughts in your notebook. Don't bring them to your bed. It's like turn off the switch of your brain work. Then breath means that you can relax your mind and muscle by slowing down your breath. Then it's the bedtime. So if you have sleeping issue, this 4B can be probably helpful. Okay. And after the sleeping part, it's the diet, about the food we eat. Yeah. I wonder, how do you get your food during quarantine? Like through Uber Eats or Food Panda? Okay, so you can try to recall. Do you eat 3 meals a day regularly? Or and what do you usually eat a day? Do you eat well-balanced and nutrient-rich food, like enough veggies and protein, and drink enough water? So the hotel, they deliver the food for you. Okay, cool. So you can recall what did you eat? Yeah. And also another thing is that you can pay attention to the amount of food you eat. Do you eat more or eat less than before? Because appetite changing is also a sign of stress. Okay. And there's another element for physical health, which is exercise. Yeah. If you're in the bedroom or your hotel room, the bed is right next to us. So it's so likely for us just to lay and sit in the bed. But it is important to get moving at least once a day. So there are so many like workout at home types of videos on YouTube, or you can just do like a simple stretch for 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. It's better than doing nothing. Okay. And there are also some other parts of physical health, like do you hold your pee? Do you spend too much time on your computer and phone? Yeah, but these three critical elements, sleeping, diets, and exercise, are the criteria to ensure you're taking care of your physical health. Okay, and the second self-care is the emotional self-care. Yeah, we have to be aware of how we are feeling, what emotions we're going through, then process your emotions in a healthy way. Like instead of suppressing or ignoring your emotion, expressing your emotion safely by maybe talking to someone you trust, writing down in your journal, or like jogging, singing out loud, doodling to release the negative energy in your mind. And substance like cigarette or alcohol is definitely not encouraged for sure. And yes, we might feel relaxed and relaxed at the moment when we drink, but in the long term, the alcohol will make us tend to avoid facing our problems more and also do harm to our brain. Okay, so you can ask yourself, what do I usually do to deal with uncomfortable emotions like anger, like sadness and anxiety? to see whether you have healthy coping skills. And also, we can identify our emotional triggers in terms of anxiety, trauma, and anger. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to directly identify the triggers. So you can pay attention to your body reaction first. Like, I feel shorter breath or my heartbeat accelerated. Yeah, and then see what is around me at the moment to identify the possible triggers. Like, for example, one of my clients, she feels chest pain and rapid heartbeat sometimes when she's at the metro station. Yeah, at the beginning, she thought the MRT environment is the trigger. But it seems to be a little bit unreasonable because sometimes she's just doing okay. Then we have some discussions and further recognize the trigger is actually the crowd, because she tends to feel anxious in the packed station or especially during the rush hour. Yeah, because she grew up in a small town back home and big crowd of people is new to her. So when we recognize the triggers, we can find some ways to prevent or to lower the level of uncomfortable emotions. Like we talk about, maybe take the MRT during the non-rush hour. Yeah, but if she really needs to, she can bring her like fidget toys to distract herself to make the situation more manageable. Okay, so be mindful of your emotion, process your emotions in a healthy way, and find out your triggers are three keys to take better care of your emotional self-care. Okay, and I want to talk a little bit more about emotion. So most of the time, we don't just happen to have one single emotion. Usually it's like multiple emotions mixed together and happen at the same time. Like I feel motivated and excited, but also anxious and nervous to start my new journey as an ETA, ETF in Taiwan. Yeah, so it's not only one emotion, but multiple emotions mixed together. So we can view the emotions in this like like this quadrant. Okay, so the horizon line is the pleasant and unpleasant emotion, and the vertical line is the energy level from high to low. And the two axes make the emotions into 4 categories. Yeah. Some people might view unpleasant emotions as negative emotions because they make us feel uncomfortable and try their best to avoid them and get rid of them. Yeah, but in fact, all kinds of emotions are functional and normal. Even though like anxiety, frustration, and anger, these types of emotions makes us feel bad, but they're normal. So what we have to do is not to avoid them, but to be aware of them and adjust to them. So just imagine, we all agree that it's super adorable when a baby is smiling and laughing, right? But if a baby only smiles and never cries or throw tantrum, yeah, that could be really creepy, right? Yeah, that's abnormal. So same as our emotions, yeah, they're all functional, no matter it's uncomfortable or comfortable. Okay. And the third aspect is the spiritual self-care. Is to do something that nurture our spirits. And it doesn't necessarily have to involve religion. It can involve anything that helps you develop a deeper sense of meaning, understanding, and connection with yourself and the universe. Like spending time in the nature, practicing mindfulness. Remember, we talked about mindfulness in the ABCDE quarantine mindset, right? To focus on your breath, the here and now present moment, and our body sensation. Yeah, the spiritual practice can help us find the inner peace, balance, and harmony. So I would say this is like a higher level of happiness. That is, it is beyond material possessions or other external rewards. And there's one term in psychology field that is very popular in recent years, is the self-compassion. Yeah, it's an ability to be empathetic, understanding, and accepting to yourself and other people, rather than being judgmental, or criticism. It's a mindfulness-based concept, including expressing gratitude, practicing forgiveness, accepting imperfection. So probably it sounds a little bit cliche or cheesy, but it is a systematic practice. If you're interested in knowing more about self-compassion, I recommend this website created by Dr. Christine. There are so many resources and many practices with audio guides on the websites about self-compassion. So if you're interested in, you can check out on this website. Okay. And the fourth one is the intellectual self-care. Intellectual self-care means to do something that stimulate your mind, like engaging in personal and professional growth. For example, reading, participating in a seminar, a workshop, or a discussion group that you're interested in. And do things that keep your mind sharp, like jigsaw puzzle, crossword, or like the game that is pretty popular this year, the Wordle. Do you know the game Wordle? Yeah, so it's a vocabulary game, I think created by New York Times. So there is like a 5-digit vocabulary every day, and you can only guess 6 times to guess what the word is. And you can play the game one time a day. Okay, so they have like a new vocabulary every day. Yeah. Also like design new things like cooking, create a dish, like writing, doodling, painting, or like weaving, or decorating your environment to create a new style, new look of your space. And also like makeup, getting dressed up to create a new look of yourself. So these are all creating an intellectual self-care. Okay. And the next one is the social self-care. The social part is also super important in terms of self-care, because you're now in a new country. You not only have to maintain the relationship with people back home, but also cultivate a new interpersonal network here in Taiwan, like with your cohort, your LETs, roommates, coordinators, and also like engage in the community. Yeah, and there are different forms of social, like virtually through text, through video chat, or hang out in a big gathering setting, or a small, like a more in-depth in-person interaction with a smaller group of people. But a quality face-to-face interaction can help gain a stronger and closer connections. Yeah, I believe you all understand the differences between in-person and virtual interaction, because we all go through the pandemics. Okay. Yeah, and there isn't a certain number of hours you should devote to your friends or work on your relationships, because everyone has different social needs. So the boundaries is another important part of social self-care that we have to be mindful of. So most interpersonal relationship problems are stemmed from the boundaries. So for example, if you have a dinner with your roommate tonight, with your LETs tomorrow, and you have a small trip with your cohort on the weekend, you feel like the social gatherings have taken away too many hours on my schedule. And I start to feel like a bit stressed and overwhelmed. I no longer enjoy hanging out with other people. Then it's okay for you to sometimes say no to an invitation and to hold back your own space. And another example is like, if you feel spending time with some certain people is not enjoyable or even suffocating, you feel like you cannot be yourself, or you're always the one who contributes but rarely receives the same feedbacks, then it's an obvious sign that probably this is not a healthy and reciprocal relationship, that you have to maybe set a clearer boundary. So the connections and the boundaries are same important in the relationship. And to balance these two is the key to maintain your social self-care. Okay. And the last one is the practical self-care. is the thing that helps prevent or reduce future stress, like financial part. You save up money, keep track on your daily costs, or think twice before you buy something to avoid being broke at the end of the month. I've heard some grantees share their experience that they tend to spend money very fast in the beginning few months in Taiwan, since a lot of things are cheaper than the US. Like one pair of earrings in the night market is like maybe $3, $3 US. And they buy cute little stickers for kids, cute mugs, cute phone cases, and few cute like postcards. Yeah, each item is inexpensive, but if you put everything together, the total amount can be shocking. So even though the price might be lower, but the overall living cost and income in Taiwan is also lower. So it's not comparable. Yeah, so to take care of yourself financially is to make maybe budget and at least have a small amount of money safe in case any emergency happens. And also the environment part. Make your space clean, safe, and convenient. And also one of the practical self-care, like maybe put your everyday must-use stuff near the door, like your key and wallet, so you won't forget them. Or like in Taiwan, for the sake of safety, we don't really put fragile stuff too high on the shelf, like glass or ceramic product. Or at least we would make sure it's firm enough, because there are earthquakes in Taiwan. So these are examples of practical self-care. We do things to prevent or reduce future stress. Okay. Now we have a better idea of the 6 aspects of self-care. So to better take care of yourself, it will be more ideal if all 6 aspects are being supported. Sorry. Yeah, but sometimes it can be hard to strike a balance among these 6, or you might find that some aspects are conflicting to one another. Like for example, I want to engage more in my social self-care, so I spend more time with friends. But then also I overspend my money on social life, which is messing up my practical self-care. Or I want to take better care of my intellectual self-care, so I stay up late reading a book, but then sacrifice the time to sleep and neglect my physical self-care. Okay, so to develop a self-care plan, there are 4 steps. 1, assess your needs by checking your daily schedule. Like, what does my typical day look like? Then highlights the happy parts, but also the parts that you feel stressed about, to identify your stressors and aspects you're neglecting, to see what aspects of my life I spend the most of my time on. Like maybe I spend 70% of my time with other people. Yeah, the social part. But then the time to engage in maybe intellectual activities or spiritual activities is not enough. So once we identify the aspect we are neglecting, then we can create a new plan to improve that part. And remember, always take small steps. For example, like my example, my recent self-care plan is that I found that I drink inadequate water every day, which is not good for my physical health. And it's a bit hard for me to keep a track on the amount of water I drink because my partner shares the same kettle with me. Yeah. And when I go out, sometimes I forget to bring my own water bottle. So to start a new plan to improve my physical health in terms of drinking water, so I bought this like a really big like a water bottle like this. Yeah, which is exact the amount of water I need a day. So it's easier to keep a track, like how much water I drink. And it does improve my habit of drinking water and my physical health. So the change doesn't need to be big one, but a small step can lead to a great improvement of self-care. Okay. So let's move on to the next part, the self-check-in question you can ask yourself every day. So to keep a track on your well-being and self-care conditions, there are 4 questions you can ask yourself every day or every moment. Okay, the first one is, how am I feeling today? Or more specific, how am I feeling in the present moment? So this question sounds simple, but how often do you ask yourself and then pause to genuinely consider your own response? Yeah, checking in with your mental health starts with assessing how you're feeling. Just like what I asked all of folks in the beginning of this presentation, like you can think about a word or multiple words to describe your current feelings and see where they locate in remember that emotions quadrant. Or you can use like a scale from 1 to 10 to check your energy level. Like 10 is like, I feel energetic and motivated. And 1 is like, oh, I feel low energy, like exhausted, and I just want to sleep. It's like to checking the battery for yourself. So yeah, and you can like write it down in a notebook, or you can simply just keep a mental track of numbers. And you can like take a note every day to see whether there is a tendency. So if your number goes down, that's a sign that you need to pay attention to your mental health. Also, it's important to notice how you're feeling physically as well, because our body and mind are connected. Okay. And the second question is, am I providing my body with its basic needs? Sometimes we get so busy that we forget to focus on the basics, like sleeping, eating, and exercising. Remember the physical self-care I mentioned earlier. So you can check in with yourself with the following 4 questions. Do I wake up feeling energetic or groggy? Yeah, it shows your sleeping quantity and quality. And do I drink enough water every day? Or do I drink enough water today? Okay, now it's time to have some water. And do I eat with a good balance of proteins, carbs, and fats? And do I get my body moving today? You can just do like simple stretch after each presentation. Okay, so these 4 questions can help recharge your physical health battery. And the third question, what's been worrying me recently? Remember the third checking question I invited you to ask yourself, what worried you the most last week? What's been weighing on you recently? Is it work? Is it family, money, or something else? Maybe it's 1, 2, or several different things that are worrying you. Whatever it is, it's important to recognize your recent stressors. And also to identify the level of stress and notice how these potential triggers make you feel is important as well. Yeah, actually, not all the stressors are bad. You can take a look at this figure. The horizon axis is the level of stress, and the vertical axis is the performance of tasks. Like if you can sense the stress, but the stress is within the limitation that you're able to address and handle it, sometimes the stress can motivate you to have a better performance. So we call this stress as eustress, like the middle part of this curve. For example, you feel stressed to start your first class, but not to the point that you are burned out. And the stress can somehow inspire you to create good lesson plans and be more well prepared. So then the performance might be even better than your expectations. Yeah. But if the level of stress is too much and overwhelming, that it could possibly lead to distress and could be harmful to your mental health, like the right part of the figure. Yeah, and this is what we don't want to see, right? And on the other hand, if you feel no stress, it can lead to boredom and low motivation, which is not good either. So it is so essential to recognize your recent stressors and identify the level of your stress. Just simply ask yourself, what's been worrying me recently? And the last question you can ask yourself is, what do I have in my corner? You can check your schedule or to-do list. Yeah, maybe you will find out that we tend to push the leisure activities down to the bottom, or we don't even include them in our to-do list. Yeah, but taking time to be happy is so important to our mental health. So besides the training course, besides eating and sleeping, find something that makes you relaxed and happy. Yeah, it doesn't need to be something big, like write down 3 things you feel grateful today, or simply just cuddle your pillow or cuddle a stuffed animal in your room. And also, having a strong support system is important to your mental health. Just ask yourself who you consider trustworthy and loving that you can reach out to when you need them. Yeah, it could be your partner, your siblings, your besties, or your family. But in Taiwan, since you're so far away from your family and friends back home, it could be one of other ETAs, your roommates, or your coordinators, or other trusted people you meet in Taiwan. And if you cannot think of anyone, remember Jane and I can be your resource. Yeah, and your advisor and other Fulbright staff can be your support as well. Okay. So these are the 4 questions, self-check-in questions you can ask yourself. And then the last part, we're going to talk about 3 tips to face new challenges. The challenges like adapting to new environment, coping with culture shocks, bonding with other cohorts, cooperating with LETs. So there are a lot of new things and changes. When we experience changes, the most common emotion we experience is anxiety. But why do we feel anxious? So one of the main reasons we feel anxious is because we, overthink. We imagine things in the future and feel worried that things will go for another direction against our expectation. Like we're anxious about whether the class is going to be good or not, anxious about what if the presentation today does not go well, anxious about other people's reaction, what if the kids don't like me, or anxious about the pandemics. Yeah, sometimes we even tend to catastrophize things and imagine the worst scenario. But actually, those are only our thoughts, and the thoughts are mostly unrealistic. So we're actually the one who make ourselves feel anxious. And these are the memes about overthinking. So thoughts generate thoughts, and it turns out to be an unstoppable vicious circle. And when we are anxious, all the thoughts just tingle in our mind like a chaos. And the hardest thing is that even maybe we are aware of that, sometimes it's hard to stop thinking immediately. Yeah. And if it goes too far away, it's likely to disturb our sleeping. Yeah, sometimes we even feel anxious about the anxiety itself, or like overthink the overthinking. It's like a tongue twister. Yeah. So what can we do to cope with this situation? So here is the first tip, the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Yeah, we cannot control our emotion directly because we have to change the way we think first. But it's hard to control our thoughts when we're overthinking. Then adjust to our breath is the best way. So 4-7-8 is a technique that brings our body into a state of deep relaxation. So let me do the demonstration. So the first step is to inhale silently through your nose for 4 seconds, like this. And hold your breath for 7 seconds. And exhale from your mouth, making a whooshing sound for 8 seconds. Okay, so like, as you can see, when we exhale, it's like twice longer than the time we inhale. Yeah, so it's a way to slow our mind down. And you can do it 3 times in a row. This helps us to pause and calm ourselves down, and also pull our mind back to the breath, to the present moment, pull our mind back to the reality from those unrealistic thoughts. Okay, so that way we can be more aware of the present moment and feel less anxious. So if it's okay, I would like to invite all of you to do this practice together. Okay, so inhale silently through your nose for 4 seconds. And hold your breath for 7 seconds. And exhale with your mouth for 8 seconds. Okay, yeah, how are you feeling now? Okay, so this is easy to apply in our daily life. Yeah, we can do it not only when we are anxious. Yeah, we can do it whenever and wherever we want because we have to breathe anyway. And the second tips is to classify your thoughts, put them into 2 categories, like things you can control and things you cannot control. Yeah, one of the reasons why we feel anxious is because sometimes we try to control the uncontrollable part, which is unreasonable and irrational. Like for example, if tomorrow is the class observation day, of course you want it to be good. So keep thinking, what if the kids don't respond to my questions during the class? And what if the weather, what if it rains tomorrow and everyone feels lower energy than the average days? Or what if the advisors and coordinators think my teaching sucks? Yeah. Do you notice that these things are basically all uncontrollable? You cannot control the weather and you cannot control other people's reactions either. In this situation, the things you can control are like to make sure I fully prepare all the teaching materials, to make sure that I get enough sleep tonight to ensure tomorrow my mind is clear. Yeah, so to focus on the controllable parts rather than the uncontrollable parts, this mindset helps us to screen out those excessive, uncontrollable thoughts in your mind. Just focus and optimize the controllable parts. Then you can gain the sense of control and feel less anxious. So do your best and the God will do the rest, said by Nick Vujicic. So he's an Australian motivational speaker born with no limbs. So once you do the best within the things that you can control, then all you need to do is to let go and embrace the uncontrollable and unknown part. Okay. And the last tip is to find the benefits of the situation. It's like to reframe the difficulty with a more positive, a more flexible, more productive, and a more meaningful perspective. So change your point of view toward the situation will lead to different feelings and emotions. Like to find benefits of quarantine, I can finally watch the show I've been wanting to, but didn't have time to watch before, or I can sleep more than usual. Or remember we talked about the ABCDE mindset to cope with the quarantine. The E, ethics of public health, is also reframing. Like I'm doing this to help protect the public health in Taiwan, which is contributive. Like when I got tested positive, I told myself, okay, maybe it's a good chance for me to experience how quarantine feels like before I talk about this topic with you. Yeah, just try to find benefits and meanings. When you change a new point of view, you feel different. Okay, so these are 3 tips to face new challenges. The 4-7-8 breathing technique, focus on what you can control and reframe, find the benefits. Okay. And this is a simple self-care metaphor. Self-care is like an oxygen mask. We tend to ourselves first in order to better care of for others. So we all know the standard emergency regulations on the flight. If the cabin loses pressure or emergency happen, the oxygen mask drop. In this situation, no matter the person sitting next to you is your mom, your dad, your partner, your best friends, the first thing we have to do is to put on our mask first before helping other passengers. So the same, we have to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of other people, like your friends, family, or other kids in your school. So self-care is never selfish. And it's okay to be not okay sometimes. When you feel overwhelmed and burnout, remember to hit the pause button. Remember the 6 aspects of self-care and the 4 self-checking questions you can ask yourself. And besides yourself, here are some resources you can reach out to. Okay, so at Fulbright, your coordinators, your advisors, other ETAs, ETFs, and your LEPs can be your support. And also Jane and I will be here for you. And counseling center, clinic, and hospitals are the resources in the community. And hotline, we have like 24 hours available foreigners in Taiwan hotline, which is 1990. And also Lifeline hotline, 1925 and 1995. Okay. Okay, so thank you for being here. I want to invite you to tap on your right shoulder and then your left shoulder. Yeah, thank you to yourself for learning how to take care of yourself. And thank you for being here. If you have any questions, any feedbacks, or if you want to know more about individual talk, welcome email me. Okay, thank you.